Welcome back, everybody. If you're new, my name's Nicholas, and this is Investing Against the Grain. Special shout out to our new Patreon members, William Lee Wu, Todd Forsberg, and Ivan Hernandez. Thank you three for supporting the channel. It means a lot. And if you want to support the channel, you can find a link to our Patreon down below in the description. Now, I hope you all had a great weekend. I know I did. If you can't tell, I got some sun. We were out at the beach. We were on the boat. So we had a pretty good weekend. And what was nice is I knew that this is going to be just another rocky week with regards to the stock market. As we saw today, right? Down, 5-6%? For what? For nothing, really. I mean, there's nothing going on. There's some drama about Twitter and Elon, but other than that, there's nothing really going on. So it's not even just nothing's going on, but there's so much disconnection between what's going on with the NASDAQ and Tesla, right? Normally, it trades at a beta of 2 or maybe even a beta of 3, but this is just ridiculous in my opinion. So I think we're beyond oversold at this point. Doesn't mean we can't go lower. We definitely can go down lower. So be wary of that. You guys know my opinion. I think we are in a recession. I've been saying this since February. It feels like a recession, but again, that's not always a bad thing. All right. Recessions don't have to be bad. Not everything is 2008. Not everything is the Great Depression. So don't get too worked up about that. Does suck where we are right now at the stock price. It's way oversold, as stated before. I think that we should easily be at $1,200, $1,300, $1,500 a share. But hey, the market doesn't lie. Now, what I want to talk about in this episode today is this conference that the All In podcast team had in Miami. And they had a lot of guest speakers, but obviously, hey, we're talking about Tesla here. We're invested in Tesla. So Elon Musk was one of the guest speakers. And he had some very interesting things to say. So in today's episode, I want to unpack some of the things he's going to say. I don't know if they're going to release the stream of the interview with Elon. Hopefully they do, but you never know. So I figured I'd just give my 2 cents anyways, because I did think Elon dropped some pretty major news that, I don't know, the mainstream media doesn't see this. And more importantly, I don't think the majority of people understand what's happening right now in the world with regards to Tesla and real world AI. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We'll also talk about some inflation stuff, recession, all that good stuff, Elon related. Well, I guess it's not good stuff, but we'll talk about that towards the end of this video. But the majority of this is going to be centered around full self-driving. So buckle up, no pun intended. We got a good one for you guys. So do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ring that bell, and let's get into it. As you all know, I've been beating on the drum about full self-driving more and more over the last couple weeks, right? Last video I made, it was talking about watching these YouTubers who have FSD Beta and look at the things they're putting out there, right? Look at Frenchie, look at Omar, look at Chuck Cook, right? Look at all the things people are putting out, Kim Parquet, right? This is a good way for you to measure what's going on with the technology and completely ignore what Elon says about it or where it's at, because Elon could have different motives that we don't know about. But at least these other people seem to be very benevolent and candid, and they don't pull back punches. All right, even if you think they're a big Tesla fanboy like Gali from Hyperchange, yet if you recall, he was also the one that was just saying that he doesn't think FSD Beta is really making progress, and up until recently, he just did a 180. Right, so you got to put things into context, and I think these FSD Beta testers are a good example of where the true status of FSD Beta is. All right, so with that said, I want to start this off with looking at a couple of Twitter posts. So let's take a look at these. So we'll start off here. This is from Warren Redlick. I saw this. If you guys know his YouTube channel, I enjoy his YouTube channel. He's got great models, a lot of basic math that really explains why Tesla should be worth a lot more what they're worth. But he also has FSD Beta. And I found this to be a very interesting post. He wrote, FSD Beta just stopped to avoid a car that ran a stop sign. I wouldn't have stopped. I didn't predict it. The car did. Amazing. So you could argue that this saved his life, right? Or at least prevented an accident or potentially saved the other person's life. The point is, this is the reason why we need FSD Beta to advance even faster. Because we don't have eyes all around us like the camera system on the vehicle does. And so this is very important. So there's real implications on this. All right, so just wanted to throw this out there because I think it's important to bring back to what FSD Beta really means from a real world perspective. It's not just about the idea of being able to nap while you drive. It's not just about robo taxis. It's also about saving lives. right? I mean, a lot of lives are lost every single year for no reason, right? We don't need to, just by human stupidity, human accidents, mistakes, distractions, etc. Not only that, even more lives are changed or ruined, whether it's injury or financially based on accidents. It doesn't have to lead to death for FSD to have value. Although all these other things would be amazing, right? To lay in the back of your vehicle and take a nap or do some work while you get to the place you're trying to get to. It's not the big reason why we need to push for this, okay? It's not just for the creature comforts of life, but it's for humanity in general and making sure that we can avoid these type of events in our lives. I want to share that with all of you before we got into this. Emmett Peppers, if you guys don't know who he is, Emmett Peppers is from the Good Soil podcast, long-term Tesla investor, great content, great mind. But Emmett tweeted this out recently. So this was at the All In podcast. You can see the whole cast there of the All In podcast. And he quoted Elon saying, probably expanding FSD Beta to 1 million users by the end of the year. Okay, so this is the big thing I want you guys to take in. 1 million users by the end of the year. That is a very profound number. This is yet again Elon doubling, tripling, quadrupling down on FSD Beta being better than a human this year. All right, again, we are in May. We're halfway through May now. He started saying this back, I think, in December, or maybe it was January when he was on the Lex Fridman podcast. That's when the first time he started saying, yeah, I think this year we'll have better than a human. Right, and this was the time where people were like, okay, yeah, Elon always says stuff like this. But as I pointed out, Elon had never said this year better than a human, this year level 4, or however you want to define it. So I thought this was very impactful. So then we got the Q4 earnings in January, and that was when we heard Elon talk about it again. We heard Zach and Drew and everybody really on the call seemed to talk about this, and we hadn't really seen that up to this point. And then we got the Q1 earnings. And not only did we get the Q1 earnings, but we also got some more details, or for the first time we heard about a robotaxi in development, about having robotaxis at full ramp, at full production, volume production by 2024, which implies it'll be happening in 2023. We heard more from Zach. We heard more from Elon about the fact that this is coming. And then here we are in May, yet again. Now we're almost halfway through the year. And Elon is still not letting his foot off the accelerator on his idea that it's going to be this year. So now he's saying FSD Beta to 1 million users by the end of the year. Again, that doesn't mean that we're going to have robo-taxis everywhere, but the fact that he would go out to 1 million users, that is a testament to the level that it will be at. And the brilliant nature of what Elon's doing is by still calling it FSD Beta, by still putting the onus on the users, right, to make sure they're paying attention, you're able to just get this to more hands where you can get more data, you can get more edge cases, and as a result, you don't have to worry about all of the liability, right? You still have an onus on the individual, and this allows you to iterate even more. So when you see like a Waymo or a Cruise, which do have accidents, right? I mean, there's lots of reports out there. Omar from Holmar's catalog, he's listed all of them, right? They don't disclose all of them. Things are black-lined out all the time in documents. But the point is, they are stuck in this narrow point of view when it comes to with their solution, right? They're stuck in Chandler, Arizona, or a small portion of San Francisco. Meanwhile, Tesla's putting this in the hands, as of right now, over 100,000 users all across the country, in all these cities, in Canada, right? They're expanding this, not just in Canada, but now it looks like they're going to start expanding into Europe by the end of the year. So this is just growing at a massive rate. Like, people don't really understand this. Let me explain to you how much people don't understand this. I have a good friend of mine. I spoke to him today. He's also an engineer. We work together more or less for a few years, and we were on the phone today just catching up, talking about life, things of that nature. And he lives in Austin, and we were talking about Tesla, and I was telling him, how people just don't know where things are at. And we were talking about, he said, yeah, I follow it here and there, I keep up on some things, But when I started talking to him about Tesla's FSD Beta and how widespread it is, over 100,000 users in 2 different countries, about to be in 2 continents, right? He was pretty amazed. He was pretty blown away. He didn't realize the extent of this. And not just that, but he didn't realize the extent of how quickly this is coming. Maybe Elon's wrong. Maybe we're all wrong. Maybe it doesn't happen at the end of this year. Maybe it happens at the end of next year. The point is, what other company do you see with over 100,000 users? What other company do you see in all major cities, in random towns, in every state in the country? There's no other company. There's only one company. What other company do you see in 2 different countries? None. All right? Maybe there's some Chinese company I'm not aware of, but as far as in the US or US-based companies, there are none. So this is very profound. 1 million FSD Beta testers. If that happens, this is going to be nuts. Now, there is some math to work out on this. So let's take a look at this. This is from Matt Smith. So Matt Smith is the co-host or the tandem with Emmett Peppers on the Good Soil podcast, right? So they're partners. Not partners like that. They're teammates, right? So they work together. And so Matt Smith here tries to break down the math, okay? So here he says, I've been tracking overall FSD sales by quarter for many years now. Based on my historic estimates of take rate, by the end of the year, Tesla will have only sold 639,000 FSD packages. Quite a considerable gap to 1 million units. Okay, so again, he's saying by the end of the year, by the end of 2022. So if by the end of 2022, they only have 639 FSD Beta packages sold, how are they going to get to 1 million? All right, so he explores this a little deeper. So here we can see, he says, it's also worth noting that my own estimates here could be off, and Troy Teslike, if you don't know who Troy Teslike is, he follows a lot of the supply chains with Tesla, and he tends to be fairly accurate with the production numbers and delivery numbers. So Troy Teslike has developed this reputation of being very accurate with his predictions and his models. So anyways, so he says that Troy Teslike's estimates are meaningfully lower than Matt's are. Okay, so one more thing here. He says one factor most people do not take into consideration is the amount of upgrades Tesla sells. This is an amazing ability to double dip your margin on prior period hardware sales. If we expand out the same table and assume 0.5% conversion each quarter, we see 782,000 sales. So he goes on here saying that's closer to Elon Musk's stated 1 million FSD testers by year end, but still a decent way off. Now, it could just be that 780,000 is close to the 1 million, right? So maybe Elon's just rounding, essentially. Fair enough. But it might also be the case that Elon has reason to believe FSD take rate will be increasing soon. Again, another very bullish sign. So he goes on to say, after all, the company did include the following language about future software margin in their Q1 2022 earnings deck, essentially just saying that software is essentially going to explode over hardware. And then down here he says, so what might that look like? Well, to get to 1 million cumulative FSD sales by year end, you can see he does the math here. So essentially going from 0.5% to 1% to 1.5% to 2%, again, based on the quarters of 2022. So yeah, okay. So let's just leave it at that, all right? So there's a lot more here. You guys can check it out. We're almost done here. But the point I'm trying to make is that there is a path for Tesla to get to 1 million vehicles with FSD Beta. Yes, maybe not the whole package being sold, right? That's something that's very hard to track. But the thing that I don't think Matt takes into account is the amount of people who can just sign up for the subscription. All right, so you got to remember, there's 2 different versions to consume FSD Beta. Either one, you buy the FSD Beta package upon purchasing your Tesla, or you can, I think it's $199 a month, you can sign up for FSD Beta, right? So you can have a monthly subscription. Once it goes wide and it's open and you don't have to worry about, you might still have a safety score you have to reach. Maybe you still have to get to, say, 95 safety score. But after you get that 95 safety score, you just have access to it. Rather than being this, okay, well, I have access and I'm waiting for them to give me approval. It's 2 weeks, new iterations. I still haven't gotten mine yet, right? At that point, it might just be you get 95, boom, you get access to it. Because it shows that you're paying attention, you're being a good, safe driver. Anyways, my point is there is a path to get to 1 million. Either way, once that happens, I mean, I think it'll be even before that. Imagine we go from 100,000 to 200,000 to 300,000, right? This is going to happen over the next coming months, right? To get to 1 million by the end of the year, right? You're going to have to start to really exponentially grow this, right? You're going to have to start opening it up. I'm sure they have many, many requests out there. They probably have another 200,000 requests ready to go. But what happens? Think about how Tesla grows in general, right? Tesla's all by word of mouth. Tesla does not grow based on advertising here, marketing over here. No. Tesla grows by user experience and people telling other people. Now, what happens when all of a sudden it's 100,000? And then we have a Q3 earnings call and they say, yeah, we now have 300,000 beta testers, right? Think about the headlines that go out. All CNBC, Bloomberg, all these different analysts, they're going to be talking about this. What happens then in Q4, right? When they're announcing, yeah, we're at 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900,000. People are going to realize Cruise and Waymo are not going to get there before Tesla. Tesla has this game, set, match, as Elon said back in 2019. This will be a profound moment. All right, it's going to happen before we even get to 1 million, in my opinion, assuming it ramps up like this. If we are going to get to 1 million by the end of this year, this ramp up will get news, it will get very popular, and people are going to find out about this. And it's going to leave companies like Waymo and Cruise in the dust. Don't forget, they don't make money, all right? At least Tesla makes money. Tesla makes a lot of money. On top of that, they have everything they're going on with FSD Beta. They've got it's insane, right? This company is trading at $720 something. This makes no sense, all right? The numbers on this are nutty. They're ridiculous. So I'm extremely bullish on this. You guys can probably tell, right? This is something that I was talking to my friend who's, a colleague of mine, and we were talking, just catching up, and when we were talking about it, it just amazed me that he lives in Austin, all right? He follows this stuff. He's an engineer, right? This is all within his wheelhouse, everything we're talking about. But even he doesn't know. So if he doesn't know what's going on, think of all the people yet to know. Think of all the people who have Teslas that really don't understand what's going on, right? Right? This is the part that is going to just blow up. This is why I keep saying this is going to be the decade of Tesla. Google, Facebook, Apple, they had the last 2 decades. This is the decade of Tesla. We'll see who comes along for the ride with them. All right. So hopefully they release this whole interview. The All In podcast. God, I can't say enough good things about that podcast. I love it. They all have different opinions, but they all get along. They all debate so well and healthy. I wish we could do that as a country. But with that said, let's transition a little bit into more economics and what's going on from an inflation and recession. And sadly, this might get a little political, but it shouldn't, okay? Like, just understand, none of this is a left or right kind of narrative. In my opinion, this is just purely based on we have a current Democratic president, and so that is just a fact. So if you are going to get a little bent out of shape by talking about this or having any kind of constructive criticism, don't, right? Just be open-minded about this. And again, all I'm doing is reporting what's happened. So with that said, and all those caveats, let's take a look at this. So this is from Meet Kevin. He tweeted this out. I'm assuming you guys know who Meet Kevin is. Pretty big YouTube channel. Anyways, he said here, Elon Musk on why we have inflation. Quote, the obvious reason for inflation is the government printed a zillion more dollars than it has. Velocity of money held constant. This is not like super complicated. In other words, this is pretty obvious. You put way more money into the system, and now you have all this slack in the rope, and now you're trying to straighten that rope back out, and it's popping. And every time it pops, it hurts. And right now, that's what we're going through, right? We're going through this tightening phase, and it's painful. And who's sacrificing for this? Everybody. Everybody is. This is why, in my opinion, the best thing governments can do is be as hands-off as possible. Let the free market work. But all of this, let's save this company, let's save this industry, we need to help these people, let's shut all this down. Look, I get some of these things are inevitable and we didn't know the right decisions on what to do, but the overstimulus, the overpumping of money, and this is done by both sides, okay? This isn't a left or right thing. They all do it, but it's a problem. We can't be bailing out people all the time. We can't be bailing out companies all the time, right? At a certain point, we have to understand that there is a greater effect of all of this. Just because we don't see it today doesn't mean we're not going to see it tomorrow. And all you're doing today is screwing over the people for tomorrow. So anyways, I can go on about this for a while. So it goes on to say, Elon Musk, quote, "It's hard to tell where Biden's head is," quote, end quote. "It's like the path to power is so teleprompter. It is the teleprompter. We could have an anchor man. The administration doesn't seem to have a drive to get it done." And so a little bit broken English there, but essentially what he's saying is that it's literally like having Ron Burgundy be the president. He doesn't know anything. He's just reading whatever the teleprompter comes up, right? He can be saying, "Good morning in San Diego, ducks and creeks and rivers and who knows what to do and I don't know and who and you and me and what," right? Like he's just reading whatever shows up on the teleprompter. And that's essentially what Elon's saying. And with regards to the, he doesn't seem to have the impetus or drive to get anything done, you kind of can't blame him a little bit because we have midterm elections coming up. Okay, and I'm just playing devil's advocate. For anyone, if this was the Republican party, if it's a Libertarian party, it doesn't really matter. The idea is they would probably try to preserve what they can and be in the best situation for these midterm elections coming up. So from just the political drama there, I understand that. But from a do the right thing perspective, they're not doing the right thing. All right, they are self-serving. They care more about parties. And again, this is all of them. Everybody seems to be like this, right? We care more about parties and we care less about just doing the right thing. And it's not like this is one of those things where doing the right thing is very controversial, right? This isn't like the whole abortion argument. This isn't like a guns right. This isn't a free speech thing. This is literally just let's not implode our country, our economy. Let's try not to go into a recession. Let's temper down inflation, right? That's all this is. But instead, we're talking about ways to incentivize and make other people happier before we get to the ballot boxes. So it's kind of sketchy what's all happening, in my opinion. Anyway, so here we got some more. Elon Musk, quote, "We probably are in a recession and things could likely get worse, though going for 12 to 18 months. So essentially the natural course of a recession tends to be that long, right? 12 to 18 months. Now, as you all know, I've been saying this since February? I've been saying that I think we're in a recession. Now, who knows if we are? To know if you're in a recession is really a lagging indicator, right? It's 2 consecutive negative or declining GDPs, quarters of GDP. I don't even know if I said that right, but you guys get the point. So we had one, all right? We just got one in April, and we found out it was negative, all right? So that sucks, right? That we're halfway to a recession. But again, we can be in a recession, and we just don't know it yet. So we won't find out if we're in a recession until we get GDP for this quarter, right? And that won't be for another couple months. So it'll be a lagging indicator. And then once you get that information, you might be out of a recession, but you don't know it. All you know is you were in a recession, and you might still think you're in a recession. And when I said this originally back in February, I got a lot of people. I said I've been talking to people, my friends, people who make 6-figure salaries, and they're all telling me how they're tightening up the purse strings. They're thinking twice about certain expenses. A friend of mine, a good friend of mine, decided not to buy his window shades because he said, you know what? It's just not worth it. I'd rather have this cash set aside just in case. You never know. And again, this is a person who makes a very good income, and they're thinking like this. And so this is why I was thinking I think we're in a recession. But the feedback was, no, I don't think we are. I'm looking around. Everybody's spending money. Everyone's out. Everyone's doing everything. But again, how much is that money they have versus piling up credit card debt? All right, lots of credit card debt being piled up there. And I think that's going to be a bigger problem we're going to have to deal with in the future. And there's no forgiving credit card debt. I guess you could file for bankruptcy in some way or format. But anyways, so these were comments from Elon. There's one other one here that I thought was interesting. Recessions are not necessarily a bad thing. Boom that goes on too long. You get a misallocation of capital. Even a fool gets money. Misallocation of human capital too. You need an economic enema. right? So essentially what Elon's saying is, you can't just always be in a boom. You essentially need a reset, a calming, right? I mean, it's just a sinusoidal wave, right? Even in an exponential curve, right? Exponential curve doesn't, normally they don't just go straight up, right? You have kind of peaks and valleys as it goes up. I guess if you're graphing a perfect exponential graph, it does go up. But you get my point, right? In the stock market, everything kind of goes up and down, up and down, up and down. But hopefully you have lower lows, higher highs over time. So then he goes on to say, so regarding California, gone from land of opportunity to land of taxes, overregulation, and litigation. This is not a good situation. Giga Texas took 18 months to build, three-fourths X the size of the Pentagon. In California, we'd still be waiting on the permits. So that's an interesting point. So we got some more here. Elon Musk on finding aliens. I'll definitely tell you if we find them, and if we found aliens, SpaceX would probably get a lot more revenue. He says both SpaceX and Tesla in 2008. If we had just paid our suppliers on time, we would have gone bankrupt instantly. So that's interesting. And then Twitter stuff, which I'm not going to get into the Twitter stuff because, frankly, I don't care about this anymore. I think all the Twitter drama is drama, and it's annoying. Elon's going to do what Elon's going to do. I don't think there's any reason that this should have an overhang on Tesla. I get what people like Gary Black and them say and how portfolio managers feel, but honestly, it's noise. It's just noise. Nothing changes for Tesla. Nothing changes for the company. The company is still printing money. The company still had better net income than Ford, than GM, than Toyota if you compare the amount of vehicles sold, right? Tesla's killing it. Tesla's printing money nonstop, right? So don't associate Tesla with Twitter, right? Anything Elon's doing with that isn't a distraction from Tesla. So I don't know why that's always the narrative as of late. All right, so a lot going on here. Quite the Monday. Not what we want to see from the stock market. Hopefully, we start to recover for the rest of the week, but it could be a rocky week with retail earnings coming out. It could just continue to show that we are in a recession, or we got false indicators. Maybe retail numbers actually look good, right? I mean, if my thesis is right that people are out spending, but they're piling up credit card debt, that could be why. So I just don't think that everybody is flush with cash and they're all ready to go out and spend money left and right when we're in this crazy inflationary period. I just don't buy it. It doesn't smell right to me. All right, I've ranted long enough. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your week. As you guys all know, I post videos on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Unless something very interesting or crazy happens, then obviously I'll make a video on Tuesday or Thursday. But with that said, we're going to leave it there. Don't forget, if you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ring that bell. You can find my Patreon link down below, and you can also find our merch store link down below. All right, with that said, I love you all. Have a great week. Peace.